In connecting. Okay, looks like we're live. All right, all right, all right. Welcome back, my regular viewers, listeners, and watchers. And of course, if you happen to be here for the very first time, welcome. Before I go any further, my name is Rahul George, India's premier iHypnosis coach and your personal guide. So today is a very, very special moment, a very, very special day as we switch cameras and also get set up. So I've got a really, really important and a really, really special guest for you. So welcome once again to the iHypnosis Coaching Journeys, our podcast that I've been curating now for a while, and we are now literally in our second episode. So I wish you the very best for those of you who are watching this live. And of course, if you happen to be watching this later as a podcast, whether it's on YouTube or on YouTube, I think they now have a audio version as well on YouTube Music. So definitely do check it out and like, subscribe, and share this with other coaches because I can truly tell you this: we are on to something really, really important as digital coaches and healers. So, having said all of that, what does all of that have to do with my special guest, Aparnaa Ganesh? You might already have noticed. Let me just stop my screen share. So I want to actually say this, and as I'm saying this, Aparna, this is your cue. So I met Aparna in 2022. This is around the October of 2022, and literally from the very first moment that we connected, I knew that I had found somebody, I had met somebody who, if you believe in soulful connections, I know that that very first meeting with Aparna was the start of many, many conversations, and so therefore it's no surprise that Aparna is here and literally in the second episode ever of the iHypnosis coaching journey. So welcome with that, Aparna. I have to literally like breathe right now just to like take in so much because we've been having many, many conversations way back since October of 2022, and of course we share some very, very powerful and I won't even call them common threads. They're like really powerful threads. And of course, we will go deeper into that in today's podcast. So I'm going to leave a little bit of that, what's it they say, intrigue for you who's watching this live. And of course, if you happen to be watching this later as a podcast. So with that, over to you, Aparna. And I'm all yours.
Hi, Rahul. Hi, everyone who is joining us live right now. I'm really, really thrilled to be here with Rahul for it's his podcast. He started something which I think was long overdue, and I can see his podcast really empowering a lot of people. And Rahul and me do share, like he said, there is some crazy deep connection we've had right from the time we met, and our conversations generally go on from being very casual to being very empowering to being very bulb on moments, and it's been really beautiful. So thank you, Rahul, for calling me in for your podcast. I'm so excited.
Awesome. Yeah, you said something so powerful. Like we have these conversations, and I'm sure for those of you who are watching, especially if you're digital coaches, you know how easy it is for us to get busy, for us to get absorbed in what we do, and yet we when we do connect, we have conversations on so many different topics whether it is, I'm sure some of you are familiar with the concept of funnels. So whether it is the funnel, whether it is, what's happening in our own personal lives, what's happening in the communities that we're building, and it's always like a laugh a minute, and of course there's a lot of deep conversation. So I think keeping that in mind, especially for people who haven't come across you yet, or who haven't had the opportunity to interact with you in person or digitally, I'd love for you to share with them. It's like, how, and I know this, that the title of today's podcast, it's about being the multi-dimensional coach, or multi-dimensional coaching. So uh, I'm sure people are curious to know, how did you get to this point of being, and of course I've coined the word multi-dimensional, but there is a reason for that, and I'm sure your story will bear truth to that. So yeah, I'd love to hear, like, how did you, like, what was your journey to get here?
So thank you, Rahul, for firstly coining it like that, and making it so empowering to be multidimensional in a world where everyone tends to think that unless you're focused on just that one thing, unless you're just doing that one thing, you're not really doing something important. I first got comfortable with having multiple hats on me when I heard a TED talk which was about being a multi-potentialite.
Mhm.
That's when I kind
Excellent.
of embraced that, yes, I do have multiple interests and multiple talents that I would like to express and not have to have to hide behind, or make it sound like I do only one thing. So I will say I have multiple interests, but pretty much in the same bucket. They're all in the creative field.
Mm.
I have been a media professional, a creative professional for over 20 years. And if I may be very happily dropping some names, I very early in my career, I got to work with
Right.
Madras Talkies, which is Maniratnam's production house.
Wow.
I went on to be with Star TV. I was producing with them. I was a promo producer. Then I was a programming producer, and lots of other very senior um, stalwarts in the
Mm.
industry. And then um, what happened was, I was always ambitious. I just did the entire thing of 10 years of my
Yeah,
life,
yeah.
okay, in a sentence right now. And then I was also very, very excited about having my babies. So I
Right.
had them, and I didn't realize that I would change emotionally as a person. And after I had my
Wow.
babies, I kind of took a break, not even realizing that that is what would happen to me. I took a break, and I wanted to basically own my own time. I needed flexible hours, but in the media space, in the creative space, you need to be out there. You need to go out there and shoot. You need to be present for, I mean, entire day script sessions. So all of that wasn't then possible for me because I really wanted to spend time with my children. So that's when I started to explore different aspects of what I always wanted to do. I went and studied yoga. I trained myself as a yoga trainer. I was creating abstract art, so on and so forth. I learned classical dance, all. I mean, I really put my heart out there in a way that I could do stuff in my own time and still kind of pursue my interests and do something constructive with that. After all of these things, when my children kind of grew up, I went back into the media, in the professional space. I went and directed ad films. I was a creative director for web series,
Wow.
and I still felt my children are not so big yet. I still want to be around them. So when I did my web series, when I was the creative director of the web series, I was like out for 6 months. Right? You shoot outdoors. You're not
Mm.
really there.
True.
Grow up, they're never going to come back to this size or
Right.
this. Can you hear me? It says
Yeah, yeah.
internet issue.
Don't
I think
worry
it's
about
okay.
the net. It
Yeah.
so.
So then, yeah, sorry. So then I said, okay, what is it that I can do which will keep me excited and which
Mm.
will allow me to make my money, express myself creatively as well,
Right.
and be with my children?
Mm.
I realized after a lot of actually, how do you say, a lot of chatter that I had to shut up on and get to
Right.
work. I
Mm.
think it took me about 2 years, but then I finally launched my YouTube channel. I started creating. beauty content,
Mm.
and my channel is called Joy Geeks One.
Right.
I did that, and I was able to share my love for beauty products. I was creating content and being home, and money started rolling in, which is something I didn't actually even know how that would happen. I didn't
Mm.
know how, but I knew that there was some meat to this entire social media game, and I had to figure it out. So I took up my time. I had a lot of failures. I did a lot of stuff which I would say clearly didn't work, but I learned. I kept
Mm.
moving on with what I did. And while I was doing that, I realized that I had come across, or I had figured out for myself how I could create content from home, make a mark for
Wow.
myself, actually
Mm.
connect with a lot of people from home. Please know, I was a very ambitious,
Wow.
outgoing girl who had now needed to be home and do all the things I needed to do.
Right.
So, since I had figured it out, I realized there must be a lot more women who are in the same situation like me, who may be very
Mm.
ambitious, very talented, wanting to make money, wanting to do stuff. So then I was wondering, what can I do? How can I share, share the knowledge
Mm.
I had? And I was definitely not going to the grave with it, because I had worked
Mm.
really hard to get where I was,
Right.
and it took me a long time to get there.
Mm.
So, and that is when I came across my mentor, Siddharth Rajshekar, who's my
Mm.
digital coach, who
Mm.
kind of taught me, our coach,
Mm-hmm.
who taught me how I could create a course, how I could do this. For a long time, I was wondering, really, coaching? How can I even do this?
Right.
How could I, how is this? How am I going to teach video skills
Right.
to folks online? So
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
another long period of overthinking and
Right.
chatter, and then shushing the chatter and doing the things
Mm.
and failing, doing all of those things. And
Right.
finally, I should say that it's been beautiful because my community is called
Mm.
Bindaas Divas,
Right.
with my entire aim to get women to become absolutely bindas in the
Right.
way that they can really own their own power
Mm.
and express either their message, or
Mm.
talk about their product or talk about their service, and really crack how they could make
Mm.
videos from anywhere, anytime, from
Right.
their home, the
Mm.
most simple things, but strategically hit across the point and connect with the right audience.
Nice.
So I'm super excited to do all the things I'm doing alongside, because of my presence on YouTube. A lot of other opportunities opened up, which I can talk
Mm.
about in the due course of our
Nice.
conversation.
Nice. And I'm remembering something you said just before we went live. And
Hmm.
if you were to kind of like flip it, let's say for somebody listening to this, right? And they're like,
Hmm.
okay, how do I relate with Aparna's story? So what
Hmm.
of the retrospect that you just shared, right? Like I used to be in a completely different world.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, this world of coaching did not exist 20 years ago, right? And then there was like the 10-year journey, and then these last, somewhere I guess around
Yeah.
COVID, right? Um,
Mm.
Especially today, because we're talking about people who are way past COVID, like 4 5 years later, um,
Mhm.
4 years later. How would you say this relates to them, or what can be useful to them? Like you
Mm.
mentioned
Yeah,
something about video coach, and like on
yeah,
video, how do I teach, like things
yeah,
like that?
yeah,
So
yeah,
what
yeah,
comes
yeah.
to mind?
So I'll tell you what, how I can help it, how I can create this, share
Mm.
this in a way that it's useful to people by telling them actually what is not useful to do.
Right.
If we can somehow even eliminate that bit, right?
Right.
A major chunk of your chatter goes away. So I'll tell you
Mm.
some of the key things that kept me back, and I know for a fact that a lot of not just women, even men, are
Mm.
held back from progressing in their life
Right.
because there's a big cloud over their head
Mm.
that says,
Mm.
"Log kya kahenge?"
Right.
What will people say? People are afraid of, and exactly what I felt I'm
Mm.
going to make a joke out of myself. What are my colleagues going to say? What are my bosses going to say? And I am from a professional media
Right.
space. So I thought a lot that, oh, I'm stepping down from an ad film director. I'm becoming
Mm.
a home video creator. It's
Right.
a step down, and it is a step down technically, of course.
Sure.
So a lot of these things were in my mind, and I know for a fact that anybody watching this, there is some element of that which is taking away your own power.
Mm.
Right?
Right.
We end up giving a lot of our energy to what other people will say.
Mm.
Actually, other people, honestly, do not even care about what you're doing.
Mm.
Maybe it's a passing statement
Right.
somebody may make,
Mm.
but eventually, what was my truths? I needed to follow that. So I would suggest or request or tell all the viewers that whatever is your truths, if you stick to that, you will emerge victorious. So that
Wow.
was one. Log kya
Mm.
kahenge was a big hurdle for me
Mm.
that I wouldn't say is 100% gone. I still,
Mm.
of course, there will be moments of it coming up, and I have to catch myself and say that, okay, what is your truth? What is it that you need to
Mm.
do? It doesn't matter, you know, um, what you think other people may say.
Right.
Just go and do your stuff. That's
Mm.
one thing. The second thing that really worked for me and will work for anybody else watching,
Mm.
the mistake I made was I didn't have a growth mindset.
Mm.
What I mean by that is,
Mm.
I studied last when I was in college,
Right.
or later when I did my teacher's training for yoga.
Right.
But because I had less confidence in myself, I could not even imagine investing in courses and
Mm.
mentors and learning stuff. I thought कि नहीं नहीं पैसे वापस कैसे आएंगे? That was my
Correct.
first thought. कि how am I really going to make this? I saw a
Mm.
wonderful business coaching that somebody in the US was doing, and I was
Mm.
like, I think it was 50,000 or something. I'm like,
Mm.
no way. How can I invest so much? I don't know where. And
Right.
I mean, those were the thoughts I had then. Eventually, when I did start off small, just
Mm.
investing in just 5-9,000 bucks, and I started
Mm.
learning, and I realized there was so much that I didn't know
Correct.
that I could get help with to
Mm.
move ahead.
Right.
When that kind of broke, and how also that broke is when I look back, I said, I buy a sari which is worth 10,000, which I wear just once in
Right.
2 years. We go out for dinners, we just
Wow.
spend 5,000 like this,
Yeah. True.
right? But when
True.
it came to my own growth, I started questioning it, and I started, doing all those things. The minute I moved past this,
Mm.
I started to grow.
Wow.
I started to empower myself with skills. I started to get in touch with the people who were enterprising and were wanting to grow like me. So that really made
Mm.
my journey, get better. So anybody here watching who feels that no, you can figure it out by yourself. I'm not trying to put anybody down,
Mm.
but if we really had to figure it out, we would have by now.
Correct.
And there is no
True.
shame, or there is nothing that's making you less if you're going to go ahead
Mm.
and take help. You know,
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
there are a lot of wonderful coaches doing
Mm.
excellent work. And why I would say why wait? I would say
Mm.
why how do you say slow mo your growth in video
Nice one.
context, where you
Nice
can you
one.
can fast, you can
Yeah.
speeden up your growth. That's what I felt. And
Mm.
I'll say today I've invested more than like 20 lakhs in my
Nice.
education, uh, because I really believed it, and because I could see that I was really evolving as a person. So
Mm.
that is the second thing I felt that really shifted for me. And I would say the third thing is, especially from
Mm.
perspective, if you want to be a video creator, you
Mm.
need to switch your gear to become a
Mm.
creator. You have to move from being a consumer of content, and
Mm.
don't let's not BS ourselves saying that, oh,
Right.
I'm learning, or I'm just seeing other people's content for research
Right.
and all of that. There
Mm.
has to be a balance
Right.
where you're getting in the creator zone, whether it's ideation, whether it's
Mm.
practicing video skills, whether it's practicing editing skills, whether
Right.
it's understanding what strategically can you put out
Mm.
which will connect you to the right audience.
Right.
So the minute I shifted, and even today, I have to watch out for myself that I have to be a larger percentage of my day should
Mm.
be in the creator zone, and then
Mm.
a smaller chunk, of course, to consume content.
Right.
Because consumers are so many, creators are only so many. If you
True.
really want to be a creator,
Yeah.
switch your gear and consciously be in that space.
Amazing.
These, I think, are my top three things. That
Beautiful.
another one I can say is, which would come in the space of log kya kahenge.
Mm.
You have that because we are constantly comparing
Mm.
ourselves with other people, right? So log kya kahenge, please
Mm.
get that out. No comparison. That's the
Nice.
first one.
Yeah.
Second thing is to have a growth mindset, invest in your learnings, invest in the right gears, or whatever it takes, whatever field you may be in,
Mm.
which is going to give you your returns, which
Right.
is going to help you propel yourself forward.
Mm.
And the third thing is, definitely, especially in the video space, I would say get into the creator identity.
Right.
Uh, you know,
Nice.
yeah.
Wow. That's something that I will come back to later.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to, as they say in today's jargon, double click it. But I'll hold
Mm.
for a moment this thing about the identity, right? And you know
Yeah.
where I'm going with this, but you
Yeah.
said something very, very powerful, because as coaches, a lot of times the disconnect is when we think of ourselves a certain way, and what
Mm.
is needed is a different version of us. And invariably
Mm.
it's that gap between this identity, which is something we've probably developed over many, many decades, and the one that we are
Mm.
actually looking toward, right? So I will definitely come back to that, all about the identity,
Sure.
and like remembering what you said at the start of this podcast, which is to to make this of value to people who are listening to it. So it's
Yeah.
not just something that we're doing because
Yeah.
coaches today do, to do a podcast today is not difficult.
Mm.
That's not the intention here. So I will draw and I will ask questions to
Yeah.
you in this context. So so this is,
Sure.
so as you said, this is where you've got to the point where today you know you are doing multiple things, in a
Mm-hmm.
nutshell, so that again, just sort of like a recap, if you could share, like, what are these multi potentials that you're tapping into as on date? Because I know there is, and this, there is a sort of like a um, there's a backstory to this, but I'd love to
Mm.
for you to share with the audience, like, to as on date, like, what are these multi potentials that you're actually tapping into right now?
Ah, thank you for asking me that question. I tend to kind of, if somebody asks me what do you do, I tend to not roll out everything
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I feel that maybe it may not be, it's a little longish.
Mm.
But as of now, I am creating beauty content
Mm-hmm.
on Joy Geeks One.
Mm-hmm.
I am a video coach
Mm-hmm.
on Bindaas Divas, which I
Nice.
think is very thrilling. Both of these are in the, so again, I say it's in the same bucket, but different
Right.
versions of it. I am an actor. I have featured
Mm.
in ad films.
Mm.
I've been, in fact, I've been blessed. These are opportunities I have received,
Yes.
which I just went along and said, okay, let's have fun and let's see what's happening. And I say, karte karte, I've crossed, I think, more than 10, 12 ads now with really good filmmakers.
Mm.
So I feel happy that one toe of mine is still there, the professional
And these are big
filmmaking
brands as
space.
well, correct?
Yeah, those are big brands. Bonvita is my latest
Yeah.
one. Clinique, Dove, Horlicks, Titan Raga, Byju's, to name a few.
So if someone does
So yeah,
say that you are, I don't mean to cut you off, but just to sort of
sorry. Yeah.
add to that,
Mm.
I'm saying, if someone says that you're humble, uh, there's something there, right? Because
No,
I
thank
mean,
you.
you it's like somebody else would have, like, they'll like run down a list of, I've worked with so and so, I worked with so and so, but it's like that humility that you carry so easily and effortlessly. I mean, this is part of your brand, and I think it's important to to highlight that, to you, that
Thank you.
you wear it so easily, which is also part of what makes your brand your brand.
Yeah, thank you. I have to say, even when I did the ad films, even then there was this
Mm,
chatter that, oh no, how can I face the camera? I'm a director. I don't want people to get confused or take me lightly just because I'm facing the camera. And then a producer friend of mine had to kind
yeah.
of talk me into it and say, just go into one and see what happens.
Mm,
So honestly, when you're saying I'm being humble, I genuinely think it's like bonus blessings in my
yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Because I didn't ever look at myself and say that, oh, I want to be an actor or I want to be any of
Correct.
that. So I say it's a bonus blessing. Okay.
Mm,
But directing, I've, the direction is something I've always wanted to do since
mm,
I did my film schooling in Xavier's
mm,
20, 25 years ago. So that I feel I have worked very, very diligently towards. In
mm,
fact, that's one area I can say. If somebody says, "What have you done for your longest time?" and you can
mm,
say that you've really invested a lot of time and effort, it's in the production and direction space.
right.
That's been my largest. I think, yeah,
Mm,
20 years plus. Apart
mm,
from this, yes, I am a yoga teacher as well, which I don't actively do, but I have done that in the past. When remember that phase when I wanted to be home and I had not figured out
Mm,
YouTube. I was teaching yoga and I loved it because I think that's when, honestly, I first felt that the work I'm doing,
mm,
and I can see the transformation in front of
mm,
me, and the fulfillment that I got, that, oh my
mm,
God, just by sharing what I know. So I've been blessed with yoga since childhood. My mom was my
mm,
first yoga teacher, and Hansaji I've been following from the Yoga Institute.
mm,
So for me, it was very casual. Yoga lifestyle didn't seem like a big thing to achieve. It was always a part of my life. But
mm,
when I did the teacher's training, and I did that also with just the intention of deepening yoga in my life,
mm.
but when my guru was giving me the certificate, he said, go out there and teach.
Nice.
It's really needed.
Wow.
And I am a very devout student. Matlab, if my
Mm,
teacher has told me something, if my guru has told me something, I have to go and do it. That's the kind of person I am. So I said, oh God, now Shambhuji has asked me to do this. Now what do
right.
I do? And that's how it started. I was just teaching one girl just over the weekend. I said, I have just that 1 hour. Somebody who asked me to teach. I said, okay,
Mm,
let's do it. But you have to follow through what I'm asking you to do. She did that diligently in 3 months.
mm,
She of course she lost a lot of weight,
mm,
but she was getting better sleep. She was feeling a lot more focus in life. She
mm,
overall things changed for her, and I felt like, oh my God, this is real work.
right.
Till that point I was only in the entertainment business,
Mm,
creating wonderful stuff. But that's the first time I realized the power of how do you say, being a medium to somebody's transformation.
nice. Nice.
So I did that, and then so I
Mm,
did quite a few yoga sessions, and I've conducted yoga camps in
mm,
Shivananda Ashram in Kerala,
mm.
and then YouTube happened. So in the beauty space, and then coaching happened,
Right.
and then from coaching, when I met Rajiv Talreja, I met all of these wonderful coaches. I also came across NLP. I had
Mm,
heard so much about NLP, and of course, I have done Tony Robbins' UPW, Unleash
mm,
the Power Within, and I
yes.
thought it was very, very powerful.
Mm.
And I was wondering, what is it that he's doing? What modality is he using? What is happening? Because there's something he seems to know
Yeah.
about people. There's something there. And then I realized he's using NLP techniques.
Mm,
Something. I said, what is
mm,
this NLP? I don't know. So I left it at that. But then
mm,
it kept coming up beach, and I was like, oh, one more thing. I don't want to learn. I'm not interested. Now let me just focus,
right.
what I'm doing. But I
Mm,
saw Rajiv when I did Train the Trainer with their singer.
mm,
There was Rajiv standing in the corridor for hours, talking to so many coaches who had questions. And I saw him really address them so beautifully
mm,
in a way that, I mean, he was holding space for them. He was able to
mm.
really get past beyond what they were actually saying.
Correct.
And I was wondering, how is he even getting this?
Right.
Giving him this? I giving him this power, giving him this
Mm,
understanding of what can really help this person. So
mm,
then I went back. I had got his Game Changers
right.
program, and I had
Mm,
honestly not watched a lot of the program videos because I didn't have the time. But I went back, and there was a 2.5 hour video of Ashlesh Rao, his NLP coach.
mm,
So something in me, I was like, "Yeah, kuch to something
correct.
Rajiv holds on to, which is
Correct.
helping him coach better." So I went back. I saw Ashlesh's 2.5 hours video finally, which I had
Mm,
tried thrice before, but I didn't get
right.
past. So now I was like, "Nini, ye to dekhna hai." I saw that he was talking about the neurological levels in that. I
Mm,
mean, the ones who are in NLP would know.
mm-hmm.
And I was so blown away by what was being taught.
Mm,
And I said, "No, that is the missing link.
nice.
This is something I have to crack. I have to get deeper into NLP, and I just want to
Mm,
understand what this is." So
mm,
thankfully for me, one thing is that I can explore without wanting definitive results. I can say,
right.
okay, maybe I may fail, or I don't know, it may not take me anywhere. But
Mm,
if I don't try, how will I know?
correct.
If I don't explore, how will I know?
Correct.
So thankfully for me, just in 5 days from then, Ashlesh's program was starting off, which was a NLP practitioner program,
Mm,
and I jumped in, and I don't know what is the right word to use. I have been captivated by NLP and its power and
right.
its tools that made me feel so confident as a
Yeah.
coach.
Yeah.
Because I remember Rajiv always telling me that you could be a confidence coach, you could be
Mm.
doing a lot beyond videos also,
Yeah.
in the space of life coaching and all of that. I said, you're
Mm.
saying that because I seem confident? He said, yes.
Mm.
I said, but I don't know how to teach others to be confident.
Right.
Right? I don't know how to tell somebody to feel this way or that way. But after I did NLP, now I'm like, I'm empowered. Now I know. I have the tools, I have the techniques to understand
Right.
what the other person is going through, and therefore break it down for
Yeah.
them and utilize NLP skills
Mm.
to empower them a lot more. So for me, I am
Yeah.
feeling very, very blessed that now I have NLP and video continues to be my tool to raise the confidence in women. But because of
Nice.
NLP, I'm able to really look past, what they're not saying also, and
Mm.
bring it out from them to kind of guide them and
Mm.
mentor them.
Nice.
Yeah. So these
So
are the things which is
no,
very
again, I'm
exciting.
I'm I'm just gonna say it because I know the background. Um, a lot of this was happening around the time when you had attended, or let me put it this way, when you were one of the contestants, correct? For
Mm.
something
Yeah.
which is hard for it didn't just fall in your lap. So maybe if you could just share a little bit about that. And that's where sort of like NLP is also connected into your journey. So
You're talking about super speaker.
yes.
Yeah. So yes, super speaker again. I was a part of super speaker one. Again, typically the chatter is on ki array ab kya karna hai, in school
Right.
you went for all of these elocution
Mm,
competitions and all, ab
mm,
kya karna hai,
mm.
karo, focus raho, don't take away from it, because you are launching your courses, you're
Sure,
doing all of those
sure.
things. And then I said to myself that यार चुपचाप record करके भेजो यार,
Mm,
देखेंगे जो होगा,
correct.
देखी जाएगी,
Mm,
whatever happens. Um, so I got blessed that each of these rounds I kept clearing, and then I
mm,
reached the top 10 of
mm,
Super Speaker, which
mm,
was a brilliant experience.
mm.
Because more than me speaking, I think these barriers that got broken, right? Ki
Yes.
is abhi ye kya karna hai? Ab,
Correct.
all of those things kind of broke, and you go, and after so many years, and of course, COVID had also happened, so you've not really
Correct.
met too many people.
Mm,
And then you go out there, stand in front of those mentors, and you speak
mm,
along with, other nine wonderful contestants.
mm-hmm,
That experience itself, I think, was breaking boundaries. The
mm,
boundaries that we all set for
mm,
ourselves. I think that for me was the big win, apart from, of course, then, getting some feedback from the
mm,
mentors and the love that one receives. I think um, I would not have had the
mm.
opportunity like that. But because of Super Speaker, I think I feel so blessed. I received so much love after that,
Right.
for the story that was shared or whatever that was
Mm,
spoken. I think that was a wonderful experience. Yeah.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's powerful, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. I've always gamified my life.
Mm,
And this was, in a way, one game I was playing when I was doing,
mm.
I mean, with my own self. Nobody else knows all of these
Correct.
things. I'm just telling you all the secret of mine. So even when I did Super Speaker, and the
Mm,
first time the entry thing had come out, I said, no, 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 no. I can't do anything else. I just need to create my course. I need to launch it. I need
right.
to at least shoot it, and then whatever comes, you can do that.
Mm,
And thankfully, that entry date kept extending, and it was still there after I had shot my course material.
right.
So I said, अब course तो shoot कर लिया, तो अभी it's still going on.
Correct.
So now you've earned the right to go and
Yeah.
participate in something beyond what you
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
kept your focus on.
Mm,
So yeah, it was meant to be, I guess, that it happened that way.
right. Yeah. Mm. So, what's fascinating is so far we've been talking about, like when you zoom out, it's like upward trajectory, right? There would be like little valleys, as they say, but generally
Yeah,
speaking,
yeah,
from the outside, it's
yeah.
like, I'm here and I'm
Yes.
like
Oh, from the
reflecting
outside, it's
back
too.
and
It's
correct.
yeah,
So
yeah.
this is like a perfect segue to actually, like as you reflect on some of those valleys, what would you say are maybe two, maybe three, that really not affected you but affected you in a way where today you're glad that it happened then? Because of that, you've now become the person that you are. So simply put, it's like, a question is, what
Hmm.
it's like, what are your three deepest failures? That's like the conventional way of asking it. But what I'm
Hmm.
asking you is, when you look back at these last maybe 10 plus years, or
Hmm.
more, and you kind of like
Hmm.
track, like, what would be maybe these two or three moments that, and sort of like quote unquote be failures, that help
Hmm.
define who you are as a person today, as a coach today, maybe even as a mother today. And that it's not just your story, it's like your story is everybody else's story
Hmm.
that is like you. So
Hmm. I think I've had too many failures, honestly.
mm, mm,
And I think, like somebody's put it so beautifully, failure is feedback.
mm.
And I loved it when I heard fail fast, fail forward. I mean,
Mm,
these are all terms I learned in the
yeah.
last 3 years.
Mm,
But I would say my first biggest, which seems like a failure, but
mhm,
that was just ignorance in a way.
mm,
Um, I don't have an older sister. I didn't
mm,
really have any reference point of what happens in life after you have a baby. I was just too excited to have a baby. And I
mm,
had my baby at 27.
mm,
But what my deep first biggest failure as a professional, I would say,
mm,
was not to be aware or to keep a plan
mm,
which keeps me in a safe space.
mm,
And um, what when I say in a safe space is, I didn't know that after I had my baby, emotionally I would be this different person.
right.
I had no clue. It was a shocker for
Mm,
me that how am I wanting to not go to work.
right.
I started working at 17. The only
Wow.
thing I knew was get excited, go to work, come back late nights. And I've not been a party person ever. I
Mm,
still am not. But when it's
mm,
an edit all night, when it's a shoot all
mm,
night, I'm like all gung ho. I said, how does this person turn into this person who's just become, completely at home?
mm,
So I think my first failure, I say R&D nahi kiya tumne, Aparna Ganesh. You didn't
mm.
find out what would happen. I said, so what? So many women go to work,
Correct.
So I thought, yeah, my thing would also be that, but I couldn't leave
Mm,
my kids and go. I just felt that nothing was
mm,
as important to me as my children back then. Even
right.
now, honestly, I
Mm,
think, like a friend of mine said, uh, it held very true for me a while ago. Now it's a little
mm,
changed. She said, I'm a full-time mother and a part-time everything else.
nice.
And I think all
Nice.
mothers will resonate with this, because in your
Mm,
heart, whatever it is, your first घंटी बच्चों के लिए बजती है.
mm,
And
true.
then everything needs to fall in place.
True.
Doesn't mean everything else is less important,
Mm,
but as a prime caregiver,
yeah.
naturally, that happens. So I
Mm,
think my first failure was not having a plan of action. कि भाई,
mm,
um, how do you manage flexible hours? How do you manage to keep
mm,
your creative output going? How do you manage
mm,
to have your financial independence? I didn't have any of those figured out, right?
mm,
So I keep telling my children, and I will tell all the young women watching right
mm,
now, or even the children watching. I feel, because of that failure of mine, which I consider
mm,
a failure, it was more ignorance. I really wish and pray that all women, all
mm,
girls,
mm.
especially in our country, are tuned to having their own business
Wow.
before they get married and have children.
Wow.
I want to explain that a little. Can I
Yeah,
do that?
I was just going to ask you.
What I
Yeah.
mean is, It's very, very important. See, I'm not saying all women are going to be mothers, or maybe some,
Sure.
many of them today don't even want to be. But if you are somebody who is going to go the mother route,
Mm.
it's going to be so, so helpful for you to
Mm.
have some work which gives you flexi hours, where
Right.
you own your time and where you're able to do the work that you do
Mm.
without it hindering your family time or family life,
Mm.
because that becomes very important. And if you're, I've seen mothers who go to work who are constantly guilty.
Mm.
They're guilty if they go to work, they're guilty if they sit at home.
Right.
If they sit at home, they've lost out on their work and their progress and years of hard work
Mm.
and
Mm.
effort that they've put out. They miss out on their promotions, they miss out on, all of those things that were due to them. And it's so sad to see that as well,
Mm.
right? So I realized that, yeah, if I sat at home after 5 years, I'm going to feel guilty कि अरे काम पीछे छूट गया, which I did.
Mm. Mm.
Definitely, there was a phase where I was like, "Arey yaar, I could have been, you know,
Mm.
have done so many other things." And if
Mm.
I had left, my children to go to work, I thought that would be worse
Mm.
because I could not get their childhood back. So this was a conscious decision I took, that I can't get their
Mm.
childhood back, but I can
Mm.
start from scratch again and work. I will have my second innings. कोई बात नहीं. It
Mm.
will be थोड़ा ज़्यादा गधा मजूरी, which I did. I still believe I'm in my second innings, because
Mm.
after you take a break and come back, the world has changed. They are not looking at you the
Right.
same way.
Mm.
So I think that is one thing I really want to request all parents, all family members.
Mm.
I really wish that in our education system somehow women are trained for business. वो भले 10 रोटी बना के भी घर से बेचे.
Correct. True.
That you
Very
you
true.
should be able to do something of your own, because I
Mm.
we have seen enough families, we've seen enough women struggling just because they are
Yeah.
financially dependent, or they don't have a
True.
power to make their decisions. They are, they're really struggling a lot,
Mm.
emotionally, physically,
Mm.
professionally. So I feel that uh, it would be really, really helpful if women get in
Mm.
that business zone. So I've told both my daughters. My daughters are now
Mm.
almost 18 and
Right.
15.
Mm.
I have been telling them that, think about your shadi ka lehenga baad mein. Please think
Mm.
about your business suit. What are you going to really launch?
Nice.
What business are you going to set up? Because I
Mm.
don't know if you're going to get married or going to have children, but
Mm.
I really wish that you are on your own, so that
Correct.
if you have a child,
Mm.
you can call the shots and be
Right.
there,
True.
as per your most professions or
Mm.
most businesses can allow that. Certain
Mm.
things I know you cannot dictate your terms no matter what you do. So
Mm.
I feel, because of my experience, I'm saying this. I know a lot of women are very
Mm.
successfully managing both. I don't know how they do it. I definitely couldn't. I had to just stick with one and then do the other. Now also, even when they're teenagers, I'm happier being home, so I can
Mm.
be there for them when they come back from school, listen to
Mm.
their stories, be around with them for an hour and a half or so after they come back from school.
Mm.
And then we all go our own ways and,
Right.
meet again in the night.
Mm.
So your question was, what was my failure? I think this was my
No, it was.
big failure that I didn't
Mm.
see coming,
Yeah. And
right?
just before you
Yeah.
even go beyond to another of, like I'm sure you have one or two
Mm,
more you want to share. But before you do
mm,
that, you said something very, very powerful here.
mm,
And I don't think this is discussed, enough. What you're essentially, this is my take from what you just shared, which is
mm,
having a mindset that is
mm.
focused on business, not a job,
Yeah.
not a,
Yeah.
quote unquote career, right?
Yeah.
Not a profession, but
Mm,
having a mindset which is able to ask the questions, because when you have the mindset, then you have the questions, right? Like you said, what business suit will you wear? Meaning, like, depending on what job you're
yeah.
doing,
Yeah. Yeah.
how are you going to, dress
Mm,
yourself? How are you going to present
yeah.
yourself?
Yeah,
And I don't
because
think
most girls are growing up and social conditioning is क्या लहंगा पहनेंगे.
exactly.
So I'm like, that needs to change.
Exactly. So I don't
Yeah.
think there's enough conversations yet that are
Mm,
happening out there, especially when we talk about like parents and children. And I'd love to be wrong, but, um, this is something when we talk about mindset, it's so vital to have more and more conversations, because that's when we uncover our, whether you call it our biases, whether you call it our limiting beliefs about what is and what isn't possible. So,
mm,
thank you for bringing that up, because like I said, parents out there, or let's say women in their 20s, maybe even in their 30s, who are thinking about also having that other chapter of getting married and having kids, all of that. This is something to kind of already incept in their thinking, so that if that happens in 3 years, 5 years, even even later, they are ready to have already have set up the business, and then
Yeah.
in that sense they are financially free, right?
Mm.
So thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you. And when I mentioned this, Rahul, to a cousin of mine a while
Mm,
ago,
mm,
she said, "But Akka, not all women are business oriented. Now, not everybody
mm,
can be a leader."
mm,
And I said, "Yeah, fair enough." Which is why the ones who can need to do it more urgently and a lot
mm,
more, and employ these other women. So
mm.
we understand the need for flexi hours, and
Yes,
we can meet them
beautifully said.
midway, because the head of Facebook,
Mm.
I'm forgetting, Lean In, Sheryl Sandberg. Okay,
Ha.
Sheryl Sandberg. She said
Mm,
it so beautifully in her book, which is called Lean In.
mm.
She said it's really important for women to be in leadership roles. A,
Nice.
because most girls growing up do not have enough role models in women,
Correct.
right?
True. True.
Secondly, when a woman is a leader, she's able to actually see the pain points of what the staff is going through.
Mm,
For example, only when she got pregnant, she
mm.
realized that the parking lot for pregnant women was very
Correct.
far off from the lift.
Mm,
And by the time she got there, she was
mm.
exhausted. And then when she had to
Right.
go and do this massive presentation,
Mm,
it was crazy for her. So
mm.
when she came experience that, because you know what? I think men are wonderful,
Mm.
and I think um, men really do care a lot
Mm.
for their women.
Mm-hmm.
But just by the fact that they're not experiencing these
Yes.
things, they just may not
Correct.
get it.
Yeah.
Right?
In
So
the
it takes a
truest
woman
sense, it's the
to, yeah.
empathy. Like when we talk about
Mm,
empathy in the real sense,
mm,
it's next to impossible to be able to truly empathize with somebody if you haven't
mm.
experienced it. You
Yeah,
can have a version of it, or
yeah,
some sense of it, but like you said,
mm,
Cheryl went through it, and that's what
yeah,
made her say, you know what, no, we need to have parking looked at differently. From a man's point of view, it would be very difficult
mm,
unless they themselves have, which is at this point now
mm,
possible. And the
mm.
other thing is, of course, that it's very difficult to actually sense what they are feeling. So
Yeah,
that's so true.
yeah. So when it comes to experience, right?
Hmm.
I think that's the reason why. I mean, especially because of our social conditioning,
Hmm.
which has constantly, see, especially in India,
Mm,
constantly girls are being brought up by saying, "ये मत करो, वो मत करो, ऐसा मत बोलो, जोर से मत हंसो, ऐसे बैठो, ऐसे मत पहनो."
mm,
So then women are constantly being told what to do. So
mm,
when they grow up, they're constantly second guessing themselves.
mm.
It's a proven,
True. True.
research has proven that if you have,
Mm,
men and women in a conference room, and if a
okay.
question is asked, a woman may know the answer 100%, but
Mm,
may still jitko to
mm.
raise her hand. But a
Right.
man may just go for it anyway, even if
Mm.
he knows it doesn't make shot dete kya jata hai,
Correct.
because a boy has been raised like that. Na tum jo
Mm.
bhi karo sahi hai.
Right.
So I'm not, I'm not blaming the men, but that is the
Mm.
fact. Now, I keep telling my divas in my community, my
Mm.
Bindaas divas, that doesn't mean we get into that victim mode कि अच्छा
Correct.
हमारे साथ ऐसे हुआ, हमको बचपन से दबा के रखा था या हमको कुछ बोलने नहीं दिया. No, at least we
Mm.
understand that okay, this is what happened, which is why my self-esteem is a little lesser,
Right.
or which is why I don't feel as confident. We can
Mm.
get into the action mode and say that, okay, now what can I do? Now where can I go? Show me how
Mm.
to do this, or let
Mm.
me, own my own life and
Mm.
move ahead and march ahead. Which is why at this point, can I please share with you?
Of course.
This is Bindaas Divas. This is
Mm-hmm.
the logo.
Yeah.
Because it's a video coaching thing and it says breaking boundaries.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to show a woman fly
Mm.
with the play button. I mean, the colors are now different, but I feel that, it, especially after what Sheryl Sandberg said,
Mm.
it's really important. And after, also what my cousin had said,
Mm.
empowered women definitely empower a lot more women,
Right.
right? So it's
Yeah.
really important. I sometimes get some flack for some men ki, Arey, why have you called it Bindaas Divas? Even
Mm.
men want to learn video coaching. And I say, sure, and men are welcome. And I do have men in my community too. But it
Mm.
is focused and skewed on
Yeah.
for women
Mm.
so that I can, bridge that gap and kind of,
Yeah.
and men learn too, of course, but
Of course. Mm.
it's committed to women.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, before
that was my
it's
first failure. It took
exactly.
so
So,
long.
so two ways to look at this. One is, of course,
Yeah,
you're welcome to share if there's anything like this
yeah.
or not, but where you see it as okay, it was a failure then, but today
Hmm.
it's something that has kind of helped
Hmm.
frame who I am and what I do.
Yeah,
Because I know, I mean, this is what people want to listen to, because it's like who we are today is not who we were 1 year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, right? So we've been on that
yeah.
journey, and that's why you get to be who you are today. So if
Hmm.
there's something like this that you feel,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like this
There
is
is
another thing.
another big failure. I have plenty, वैसे, but the one that I can talk about is, see, like I told you, I taught yoga. I created abstract art. I also um, learned classical dance for,
Mm,
after having both my babies, all of that.
mm,
But I'll tell you the one common mistake I found across whatever I was doing,
mm,
which I realized much later, is that whatever we do, most of us are brought up in a way that we don't know how to talk about that work.
yeah.
As an artist, in fact, I had a book which said, I want to be in the studio, something like that, which says that I just want
Mm,
to create art.
mm,
I don't want to get into which gallery and how to sell it and all of that.
right.
And I realized that that was a pattern I saw in all the efforts that I had taken and all the
Mm,
endeavors that I had jumped into.
mm,
I didn't know how to share about my work. I didn't know how to promote my work. I
mm,
didn't know how to, you are constantly being told from your childhood, you don't blow your own trumpet. You should
mm,
not talk about your work. Somebody will experience your work and they should talk about your work. You should not talk about your work.
right.
So, that's there even today.
Mm,
And see, that has happened because when we were growing up,
mm,
firstly, we didn't have social media,
correct.
right? We uh, we had no choice but to have word of mouth
Mm,
publicity.
correct.
And when I was growing up, and I'm a South Indian, so I have seen enough talented South Indians,
Correct.
and South Indians are so, like, quiet about their work.
Mm,
I've seen so many talented people not reach their optimal
mm,
success
mm,
just because nobody knows about them enough.
right.
And they will definitely not talk and say that, okay, I've written this poetry, can you read it? Or,
Mm,
writers, artists, so many of them. You
correct.
need, uh, see, I see that even today, and that's a very Adam ke zamane ka practice.
Mm,
Even our schools and colleges didn't teach us this. They just taught us to be really good at what we have learned. And whether you're a
correct.
beautician, whether you're a dentist, whether you are an English
Yeah.
teacher, you
Yeah.
are just taught to be excellent at what you do. And we keep
Correct.
polishing our skills, which is what even I did.
Correct.
But I lost. I kept failing because
Mm,
the 50%, I believe, 50% of your work is you doing it really well. And 50% of it is you being able to share your work with people.
right.
So many people say that, oh, I don't want to do marketing. I don't want to talk about my
Mm,
own work. I say, can we look at it as you sharing your work?
mm,
So that the people who are also looking forward to, maybe reading your,
yeah.
your poetry or your write up or looking at your art piece or learning from you, actually, you're doing a disservice by not
Mm,
reaching out to them, right?
correct.
I often give this example, this little story. I say, what if in a little city there was this really good mochi,
Mm,
cobbler, really good at his work, but he was just sitting quietly doing
mm,
his work, like all of us were taught कि अपना काम अच्छे से करो, बस बाकी
mm,
भगवान पे छोड़ दो, या बाकी जो भी होगा वो उसके कोने में बैठ के वो कर रहा है उसके छोटे से, in his little shop. But if he
mm,
didn't put a board outside
mm,
saying shoe repairing done here,
correct.
there will be people walking right outside his store with a broken piece of chappal and not knowing where to go.
Mm,
So isn't that like a disservice?
right. Yeah.
when we kind of shift our thought like that, right? You will not look at it
Mm.
as, oh, you are blowing your trumpet, or you are saying so much about your work. No,
Mm.
this is a failure that I felt I had to really work on and
Yeah.
say that no, boss, I need to create a presence. I need to wave out to the world. I keep saying, let's wave out to the world and say, hello, this is where I am. Don't spam people. Don't be
Yeah.
pushy.
Yeah.
But we can always, just wave out and say that, hey, I'm an artist, or I'm
Mm.
a video creator, or I'm a whatever that you do.
Mm.
Um, and it will, help everybody.
Mm.
So I think that that was a very big failure, that was a big point for me to fail very often, and I saw that as a
Mm.
pattern, and I said, boss, up to I have absolutely no choice. I have to get over my fears and my shyness and my
Mm.
underconfidence to face camera, or to put my work out there.
Mm.
For can I be very honest, even
Please.
after I had Joy Geeks, for a
Mm.
very long time
Mm-hmm.
I used to not post my videos on my Facebook page, because
Wow.
Facebook page is where all your old friends are. Facebook
Right.
page is where my mentors and my bosses were, all of
Correct.
those diggaj from
Correct.
the film industry.
Correct.
So I was like, "अरे उधर मत डालो देर से ये क्या घर पे videos बना रही है." For a long time, I didn't put it there. It's okay, and thankfully, and it's like this for everybody. You will connect with the world at large,
Yeah.
who are appreciative, who are taking you at face value from here, where
Mm.
you are at this
Mm.
point. So I think if all of us can kind of look at it as sharing your work, it will change the game.
Mm.
The failures will be about other things which
Right.
may not be in our control. But ये तो control में है boss. कर
Mm.
सकते हैं इसको और
Mm.
अच्छे से कर सकते हैं.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very powerful. Very powerful. I know that you've probably answered more than a handful of people's prayers because they probably needed to hear this, right? We've all been there where we were waiting for somebody to tell us ki,
Yeah. Yeah.
share, like let the world know, like
Hmm.
you said,
Yeah.
wave or
Yeah.
and obviously everybody's made differently. It's not necessary that it means you have to shout loudly or
Exactly. Yeah.
feel disingenuous or
Hmm.
like in today's world they call it feel scammy. Not needed, but
Hmm.
still
Yeah.
there is that midpoint which is feel good about waving, feel good about telling people that hey, I'm here and I love doing my
Yeah.
work and I'm here to help you
Yeah.
and here to serve you and here to create so that you can enjoy it, right? So that I
Yeah.
think is a very very powerful message, and especially since we are primarily talking, as you said, it's not about being a consumer anymore, for
Hmm.
all of us. And I know we all could do with more money in our, whether it's in our
Hmm.
pockets, whether it's in our bank balance, right? And seeing the world as a place where we can produce, right? That's
Hmm.
a very powerful seed that you already kind of
Hmm.
sowed for them. And I'm sure there will be people that will come back to you in not just a couple of months, but in a couple of years and say, Aparna, I happened to watch this or somebody sent it to me and it just
Hmm.
completely, it shook me for a while, but then it changed my perspective. And today I understand why you said that. So
Hmm.
very, very powerfully
Yeah.
said.
Thank you.
So yeah, we can go any number of ways from here, but like I said, you're welcome to share one more, because honestly, this is where that real power is, um,
Hmm.
in reflection. So if there's another story or another failure, you can. Otherwise, of course, I do have a bank of questions to ask. So we can go any number of ways
Uh,
from here.
yeah, we could do that, or I could talk about what, again, it's not just what I have seen commonly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Another, and I think most of these failures are all in the mindset level. I think
Mm.
everything that I shared is
Mm-hmm.
mindset related,
Mm-hmm.
right? Another one that I feel that held me back
Mm-hmm.
for a while,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, कि मैं कैसे coach करूंगी, मुझे क्या,
Mm.
like even though I had all the experience, I had enough experience to coach. I feel the imposter syndrome that most people
Right.
have. Ki, I used to be petrified of calling myself a video expert. I still don't.
Right.
I still call video coach. तो भी कर करा के I got comfortable with. that yeah, okay, coach is good. I've worked my way to feel comfortable
Correct.
about this. But expert, I'm like, how can I call myself an expert?
Right.
At what point do you become an expert? Expert matlab seem like you're, पता नहीं, you are कि और कुछ है नहीं सीखने के लिए. For me, I'm always a learner.
Correct.
You know,
Mm.
so I had all of those things going on. But what I understood is that how much ever you know,
Mm.
there's somebody else
Yes.
who does not know that much also.
Yeah.
Which means,
Mm.
uh, even if you're a 12th grader student,
Mm.
you can teach people all the way from kindergarten to the
Correct.
11th grade. You do
100%.
not have to be a PhD to teach maths to all of them.
Mm.
In fact, it's easier for them to relate to you,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Yeah.
So when I kind of, you know, explain that to myself, कि भाई तुझे जितना आता है, is it okay if I break in Hindi
Correct.
बीच में?
Yes,
How
please.
much I know can I share? So even as a video coach, right, we say that, oh, but millions नहीं है अभी, कैसे
Mm.
सिखा सकते हैं? I said, boss, तुम technically सिखा सकते हो. You figured out the system
Correct.
that you could, be a solo creator and shoot from home. At least I
Yeah.
can teach that. At
Mm.
least I can teach the strategies. And
Correct.
thankfully, when I did Joy Geeks, I had won YouTube's Next Up for Beauty Creator,
Mm.
which was a fantastic thing because YouTube themselves took me through,
Right.
the inner secrets and the
Wow.
strategies that make YouTube really tick. And,
Nice.
you can do much better with that. I said, you've learned all of these things. Please empower more people. So I
Mm.
feel that this imposter syndrome is very unnecessarily overrated in each
Mm.
person's mind. I
Mm.
think we need to break that. And again, that is again intertwined with log kya kahenge because you feel that you're not
Mm.
good enough and blah blah blah. So I'm saying, okay, you're not good only. Chalo, let's take
Mm.
it. You're not good. Whatever you know,
Mm.
please share.
Mm.
When I changed my mindset into that, I became a lot more confident. I said, हाँ ठीक है, मैं claim ही नहीं कर रही हूँ. I'm
Mm.
not claiming to help you become a, like a, I mean, I can claim what I know to teach. I can
Correct.
teach you to get confident on videos, or I can, whatever that it is that I was doing.
Mm.
If I stick to that and give them 10x value,
Mm.
then I felt very comfortable. Ki chalo,
Nice.
now I can share this.
Mm.
So I feel that's one of the things that, because I'm seeing this in my community also, and I see
Mm.
this in a lot of coaches. When I ask them, why are you not putting out videos, or why are you not,
Right.
why is your course not launched yet,
Yeah.
or what? And somewhere, if I probe little deeper, वो आ ही जाता है कि यार मुझे लगता है कि ना I'm not certified,
Mm.
या मुझे लगता है कि I have not had so many years of experience or
Correct.
something. It all boils
Correct.
down to that you feel you're not good
Yeah.
enough. So I think that is, if
Mm.
anybody watching this
Powerful.
can just jump over that, tell
Mm.
yourself, जितना आता है उतना सिखाओ, बाकी छोड़
Correct.
दो. That is also good
Correct.
enough.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. So,
Yeah.
so, so I have a personal agenda. I'll say it
Hmm.
upfront. Okay.
Hmm.
My
Hmm.
personal agenda is, and this is the reason also why, is because I miss this for many, many years. I didn't pay enough
Hmm.
attention. Let me put it this way: I didn't pay enough attention to
Hmm.
it. So, what I'm talking
Hmm.
about is the role and the power of having a community. Like what you shared right
Hmm.
now, uh, if we try and figure it out on our own by ourselves,
Hmm.
like on our own by our own selves, it'll take a
Hmm.
very long time, because we will always find a way to talk
Hmm.
ourselves out of nahi nahi abhi nahi baad mein,
Hmm.
right? The
Hmm.
LKK,
Hmm.
hashtag LKK, as in
Yeah.
log kya kahenge,
Yeah.
that will just
Yeah.
eat away like termites, right? And
Hmm.
years will pass without having actually
Hmm.
taken action. So I realized that just a couple of years ago, that it is so vital to have a community. And
Hmm.
that's my next question to you, which is, uh, there you go.
Sorry,
No,
my
no
earphone
worries.
fell.
I
Why
was just
laughing?
gonna.
My earphone falls.
it,
Sorry.
no,
Go
no
ahead.
worries.
Yeah.
It's like perfect timing, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it creates another track. Okay. So
Hmm.
therefore, I'm saying, um, like, what has been your experience both being part of a community, and then of course creating your own community? Like what are some of the things that you have noticed that it's like
Hmm.
life before the knowing of community, and
Yeah.
now like post, right? What's that like for you?
Yeah, I wasn't a part of the community, any community before. And the only community I was building
Mm,
before I got into an official community with my coach was what I was creating on Joy Geeks, right?
mm,
It was on YouTube. That's also not a structured community, it's on YouTube, right? So there was no structure there. But
mm,
that's the first time I realized what joy it is to receive love or
mm,
receive comments and receive perspectives from random strangers,
mm,
but who are like minded.
mm.
We may be giggling about some lipstick, or we may be giggling about,
Correct.
or getting excited about some new launch of something,
Yeah.
but I'll like have connected to somebody else
Correct.
in the online social media space without
Yeah.
knowing anything about them.
Mm,
And that's the first time I realized a lot of us, at least I, um, thought that if your friends and family are not supportive,
mm.
kahani khatam.
Correct. Yeah.
Community need not start from there if they are not supportive. I had very supportive family, but a couple of friends turned out,
Mm.
a
Sure.
little off. But
Mm.
I realized, oh, there's a bigger world out there.
Right.
That's so
Right.
exciting. But the real community, I will say, I experienced when I joined my mentors community,
Mm.
ILH.
Mm.
That's when I saw people of all kinds
Mm.
in different stages, different levels, but with a common thread of really wanting to do it,
Right.
really wanting to crack it, and wanting to
Right.
grow from wherever you are,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And so I keep telling all my women in Bindaas Divas that when we see somebody else do really well, right,
Right.
the common, very easy thing to slip into is jealousy. कि, "अरे
Mm.
यार, उसका हुआ." So
Correct.
I say, turn that, be conscious of that, and turn that into getting really inspired and say, अरे यार उसका हुआ मतलब मेरा भी होगा.
Correct.
उसका हुआ ना, मेरा
Right.
भी होगा. आज
Nice.
नहीं तो कल होगा, पर होगा.
Nice.
So I felt that when you're in a community,
Mm.
you are constantly getting inspired by somebody else who's
Yeah.
10 steps ahead of you.
Yeah.
And you constantly have the fulfillment of inspiring somebody who
Mm.
may not even have started.
Mm.
So you're constantly, I think it's a wonderful space to be in,
Yeah.
because um, I hate to use the word family in a
Mm-hmm.
loose term,
Mm-hmm.
but it is like that,
Yeah.
because you are looking out for some, and some are
Mm.
looking out for you, and you're constantly learning.
Yeah.
And the best thing is, when you are choosing a community of like-minded people,
Mm.
like they say, right, you are a sum total of the people you surround yourself
Correct.
with. So you're choosing, it's like you are,
Mm.
in filmmaking terms, you're casting your
Mm.
people around you. You're
Yeah.
casting these people कि मुझे इन लोगों के साथ
Correct.
ये उनका intention है. So then their routine or their
Mm.
lifestyle or
Mm.
their focus on making money or keeping
Mm.
themselves healthy or making a difference in the world,
Mm.
that keeps you, on track, because
Right.
you're just constantly talking about these things. We're not randomly talking about some things which do not matter to us or are
Right.
not in alignment with us, actually.
Mm.
So when we pick a community which uh, is empowering us, we
Mm.
pick that, you cast that,
Mm.
in we say isko cast karo.
Correct.
So it works really well. And when you
Mm.
are creating a community of your own, it's another beautiful space, because you've learned so much from your mentor,
Mm.
and then you want to add your own flavor when you create your own community.
Mm.
So especially amongst women, our big nara in our community is can
Mm.
can. Okay. So
Nice.
I have lived in Malaysia for 4 years, and instead of saying
Mm.
yes, they say can can. They say can can. Can you get this for me? Can can. So it kind of stayed with me. And I say
Right.
every time, you're trying to go shoot or trying to edit, or you feel challenged or something, just say can can.
Can, can. Nice.
Just say can can. So it's like a thing we all say in the
Mm.
community. So these are all of these, inside language that is
Yeah.
very empowering, that's kind of anchoring them to stronger beliefs for
Mm.
themselves, and
Mm.
feeling empowered.
Yeah.
And then again, if she can do it, I can do it
Mm.
too,
Nice.
right?
Awesome.
And even if somebody has made their first video, the way we celebrate,
Mm.
when we go live together in the community and somebody's made their first video, sometimes they'll be in tears. Ki, oh,
Mm.
I never thought I could make a video. And we'll all be so excited that, yes, she made her first video.
Right.
And then there'll be somebody else who would have made their 100th video. I mean, if there's a
Mm.
challenge I've put out of making 100 videos in so much
Mm.
time,
Mm.
somebody else would have made 100 video, and we're all celebrating that in the same breath.
Right.
तो ये तो कम्युनिटी में ही हो सकता है, right? It
Mm.
can't
Mm.
happen
True.
randomly.
True.
So I think it's beautiful to be a part of the community and to create one.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
And again, just to put this into context, I mean, like I said, I've been very fortunate to have started this journey like close to like 20 years ago, where I knew I wanted to be in the space of personal development. But the one thing that I was not willing to, tap into and lean into was this, creating community.
Oh,
So
okay.
uh,
Hmm.
the point being, you can start at any point, right?
Exactly.
And
Yes.
literally, it's not the journey that was; it's the journey that is and is going to. That
Hmm.
is the, that's the fuel, that's the driving force. And
Hmm.
knowing that, being in a community and creating a community actually creates this kind of a positive, like a
Yeah.
cascade in people's lives. That's
Yeah.
it's like, one of the reasons why I had, this is what, 2022 November, I had started, doing a video a day. I didn't know that because of
Hmm.
that I'd be sitting here having this conversation with you,
Hmm.
right? So I get that, when you talk about
Yeah.
creating videos, you don't know what kind of a impact it's going to have, whether it's in your own
Hmm.
personal life or even in the context of creating community. And today I have a community. I've got, like this as a platform where I want to showcase other people's lives, and uh, as a source of inspiration, because
Hmm.
being a coach is, it's not an everyday job, and you're not an everyday person
Hmm.
who's like, chalo paise banate hain, and therefore I'm,
Hmm. Yeah.
going to be a coach. It's a much deeper, I call it a vocation. So it's like when you have that thing in your ear that says, you
Hmm.
know do it, be it, like I want to be this,
Hmm.
right? And then
Yeah.
of course it's its own journey where it takes the time that it does, but it's such a beautiful blessing to be able to do this, and of course have conversations like this.
Yeah.
So two things here. One is, of course, what typically, like, how would people be able to connect with you, and like,
Hmm.
what kind of skills um, would they benefit by being in your community and learning from you?
Hmm.
So what's that like?
That's a lot of fun to begin with, honestly. I think we have a lot of fun in the community. I mean, the name itself suggests that, right? Bindaas Divas.
Mm.
The entire approach is to, and I truly believe that
Mm-hmm.
everybody is already so beautifully bindas within.
Mm.
It just needs to be tapped into and be made to shine. And
Mm.
different people need different things sometimes to let it
Right.
shine. So whether it's your mindset, whether it's you learning technical skills,
Mm.
whether you understanding, strategically what can bring your video to the forefront and actually
Mm.
connect to the right people,
Mm.
all of those things are covered. Um, and we do have different for the starters there is memberships. We do this in the form of
Mm.
memberships so
Mm.
that you can start slow and easy and then know for a fact that yes, I would like to upgrade my video journey and make it more professional.
Mm.
A couple of things that I definitely
Right.
highlight very heavily in the community is what I feel people are not actually aware of. People think even
Mm.
today, even though YouTube is such a
Mm.
big thing today, a lot of
Mm.
people think YouTube to time pass hai. Yeah,
Mm.
Instagram to, you know,
Mm.
usse kya hota hai? You can't really make money out of it.
Right.
A big part of my job in my community is to enable them to understand the different ways
Mm.
with which they can make money even under
Right.
500 subscribers.
Wow.
So I have community members.
Mm.
So if you have a service that you give,
Mm.
um, it does not matter that you should have 50,000 subscribers.
Right.
But if what you are sharing is
Mm.
really making you come across and presenting you like an expert in that one topic,
Mm.
then somebody who comes across your channel
Mm.
will want to engage with you in a professional space.
Right.
They are not coming to you for your views, for
Mm.
your popularity. They're resonating with your energy and therefore taking your service.
Nice.
So, the common mistake I feel a lot of people do is
Mm.
they wait for YouTube AdSense to give them money, which
Right.
happens at a much later time.
Correct.
Because I experienced myself that when I first started off my beauty content, I was invited to be the chat show host for the Yoga
Mm.
Institute, and I started
Mm.
making money from there, not from my
Mm.
YouTube. But I
Mm.
got that opportunity because of me
Correct.
putting myself out there on YouTube.
Correct.
Then there are other various opportunities, like you have an
Mm.
affiliate link, you create more leads, therefore you
Mm.
create more sales
Mm.
because you present yourself as an expert.
Correct.
And following the
Mm.
formula that I'm giving them,
Mm.
they are invited onto different platforms
Nice.
where they also get paid, where they
Mm.
also then continue to get more leads. So there are
Mm.
many ways with which you
Correct.
can make money
Mm.
using the power of videos.
Mm.
Of course, then there are brand collaborations and there are so many other things. But
Mm.
even at a very less number of followers,
Mm.
the potential for you to make money, even a school teacher,
Right.
the amount of time you will save if you have created that one video explaining something that every parent may want to know
Nice.
from you.
Mm.
I keep telling, I have a school principal also, I say, please don't have to repeat everything you keep saying to each parent who may come to meet you. You can have
Right.
ready made videos.
Wow.
You will save your time. You'll reach
Mm.
out to a lot more people. The
Mm.
families can sit at home and watch on their own, and you will see, you will be amazed at how the
Mm.
opportunities come in.
Nice.
So I feel it's a very underrated aspect. I think videos are still being only thought of ki popular hona hai, ya I don't
Mm.
want to be popular, so I don't need to come on videos.
Right.
No, you're building digital assets.
Correct.
It's you really documenting your work. So
Mm.
I have a very close friend who makes beautiful resin art tables and stuff
Mm.
like that. And
Mm.
I said, why are you not just shooting some of that and putting it out on your page?
Mm.
He's like,
Correct.
but I have enough of clients I'm not able to service right now. What will
Mm.
I do shooting all of these and putting it out? And then
Mm.
I gave him the perspective. Look, right now I understand your hands are full.
Mm.
What if a year from now, when you've been documenting
Correct.
each piece of art that you've been creating,
Mm.
some international client comes through and wants to give this massive production to an Indian artist?
Right.
Do you think you stand to gain not just for yourself, but create employment opportunities for so many other people who you can
Wow.
employ?
Wow.
But that will happen because you have documented your work over the
Correct.
entire year.
Correct.
Psh, batti jal gayi uski. He was like, oh my God, I never thought of it like this.
Right.
So it's not really just what you see, it's a lot beyond that. And that is what I constantly share with my Bindaas Divas community
Mm.
women. Ki think beyond the box. There is so
Mm.
much potential in videos. And the
Mm.
reason why videos are the top in the line of getting people's attention
Mm.
is because videos have two senses that are getting used,
Right.
right? It's your
Yeah.
auditory sense and your visual sense. So you can hold
Correct.
on to people's attention a lot
Mm.
more. You can, people end up watching the
Mm.
video
Mm.
more than they may just read or they may just listen to a podcast.
Got it.
So that's a huge benefit I do
Beautiful.
wouldn't want anybody to miss out on,
Mm. So, in that
right?
context, one is, of course, I
Mm,
have shared the link, and I will share the link
mm,
again at the end of
mm,
once this podcast is uploaded.
mm,
Even in the live, people will be able to see the link. But having
mm,
said that,
mm.
what, like, amongst those links, do you know which one specifically you would want to?
So,
Uh,
if somebody wants to, take a sneak peek into what the video coaching community is like, they
mm,
can start off with, seeing the first link, which is an invitation to a masterclass
nice.
where they can be with me for 2 hours, understand what is it that I'm really saying, because I
Mm,
am not just about shooting and editing. I really want to give a larger perspective of all the way from your mindset to you making money.
mm,
And shooting and
mm,
editing is one aspect of it. So I
mm,
cover that, at a broad level in the
mm,
masterclass. When
mm,
they get a sense of that and they resonate with what I'm saying, and they feel that yes, they want to learn more, they definitely
mm,
want to grow ahead, then those people go ahead and join the community. Then it's a paid membership, they join
right.
as a silver member, and then their journey continues with me.
Nice.
So that is if they want to do video coaching.
Mm,
Then of course, if there's somebody who just wants to understand beauty related stuff,
mm,
there is Joy Geeks link.
It's largely on YouTube and Instagram. That can be checked. I have a lot of women who have never used makeup, and
Mm,
I do very basic makeup. Even if you see right now, I mean, I do very natural looking makeup. So a
mm,
lot of women, daily, uh, people who like everyday makeup,
mm,
they resonate with my content. So
mm,
they go check it out, and they are able to use it. And I don't use filters and all of those things in my
mm,
content. So, and I'm brown skin. So a lot of women who are little darker toned and stuff, they like
mm.
to watch to get references of what they
Nice.
can go and get after my review. Those are the two major things. Of course, then I'm an actor and my direction and all of those links are there. If that's relevant, one can check that out.
Awesome. Awesome. So, one very important, and like I said, the link close, so we have this thing called opening loops and closing loops,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Which is very, um, which is very like commonplace when you talk about NLP or neuro linguistic
mm,
programming. And the
yeah.
reason why I'm saying that now as a way also to close the loop is that
Mm,
when Aparna and I met, this was in 2022 of October of 2022.
mm,
Um, it was barely like about half an hour into the conversation.
mm.
I mean, of course, I was there to record a testimonial of
Yeah, I
my
was shooting
experience
him.
of
Yeah.
being in. So it was like the other way around, right? Like
Yeah.
on the other side of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
lens, so to speak. So I was sharing my experience of being in a community and why it's so important. Because when we met around that time, that finally that penny had dropped, and I was like, yeah, I get it. I mean, I know that this was that missing link.
Mm,
Um, and then we got talking, and Aparna immediately kind of, it's like all her, all the radars went on, and she's like, "Oh, you've done NLP," and of course, it was my, I should say, good fortune that I had begun my journey like literally way back in 2007, and for me it was like, wow, kindred spirit, because I know for people who have experienced NLP, people who want to
yeah.
learn NLP, um, it's an amazing place to be in. It's an amazing tool. I've been very fortunate to now see it as part of my lifestyle, right? So it's there in everything that I do. And so when we got talking, we just didn't stop talking, and even today we keep
Yeah.
talking about NLP on so many levels. So of course that's my experience, and I'm curious to know what your experience. I know you hinted at it earlier, but this is like a segment specifically focusing on NLP, and because it is so
Yeah.
deeply interlinked to you and your identity,
Mm.
I'd love to hear your perspective on NLP or neuro linguistic programming.
So when I met you, Rahul, I was probably 6 months or lesser into NLP,
Hmm.
and I was learning it from scratch
Hmm.
from a wonderful, wonderful NLP coach, Ashlesh Rao.
Hmm.
And I was completely taken in.
Hmm.
How do you say?
The
I
word
was
you said was fida.
extremely excited. Full fida on what NLP empowers you with, right?
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
unfortunately, wherever I used to go, pudak pudak kick, pata hai, NLP, most people like, what is NLP?
Right.
Most people would, generally have that. And I was like, it is so beautiful. It is
Hmm.
so um, path breaking
Hmm.
in so many ways. And so many people don't even know about it. That was very
Hmm.
disheartening for me, honestly, because here I was, laddu phod rahe, mere ki acha, acha, aise moments ho rahe. And a lot of people I met didn't know.
Hmm.
When
Hmm.
I met you, and you seem to be like fully on into NLP like crazy. I literally remember I jumped out of the sofa and came and hugged you like, oh my god, you know it. I was so excited, like, you're an NLP coach. Thank you so much. And then we sat down and then we kind of spoke for a long time.
Hmm.
But I'll tell you, um, NLP has refined
Hmm.
or has made me even more raw. It's so
Wow.
contrasting what I'm saying,
Wow.
has allowed me to be more raw, to
Hmm.
go deeper within me,
Hmm.
and go more raw in my communication with the world.
Wow.
When I say with the world, it starts
Hmm.
firstly from my home.
Hmm.
Uh, See, typically, if I have to explain about NLP, it's about your thought patterns,
Mm.
right? It's about the communication you make with yourself, with the world.
Mm. Mm.
And the first thing I did was to start off with my children, with my husband,
Mm.
and of course, constantly, working
Mm.
at a very deep level within
Mm.
myself.
Mm.
And when I say empowering, I know empowering is a probably a very vague word. Let me explain
Mm.
that a little more. The way NLP has worked with one's belief systems, that things that you're sitting with unknowingly,
Mm.
the kind of things that opened up for me, I think was shocking, honestly.
Mm.
I used to keep, as an example, I used to keep saying to my coach that
Mm.
I feel so exhausted all the time. I feel like I'm doing
Mm.
so much, but I don't think I'm getting anywhere.
Mm.
I'm working so hard, but I'm so exhausted.
Mm.
And when he did the belief system with me, he worked on the beliefs.
Mm.
It came up for me that I was sitting with something somebody told me years ago
Right.
when I took a break, remember, to be with my kids. I
Mm.
got a lot of flack
Mm.
because,
Yeah.
you're this ambitious girl who's suddenly sitting at home. So somebody very close to me told me,
Mm.
what happened to that financially independent girl? Are you going to sit at home and be dependent on your husband? And,
Mm.
a lot of things were told, which is very unpleasant to me.
Mm.
And I was still sitting with that
Mm.
unknowingly and still trying to somehow prove
Mm.
that I had my kids. I had fun with my kids also, and now I'm
Mm.
going to come back to my work also. So I'm
Mm.
constantly trying to play the catch up game.
Mm.
And that is what kept me so exhausted all the time because no matter
Mm.
what I did, it didn't seem enough.
Right.
So, this is just one very,
Mm-hmm.
very little example, but it kind of opened up a whole new world for me.
Mm.
And that is what NLP kind of does.
Ah.
It kind of allows you to understand what is your thought pattern, where is this
Mm.
really coming from, something that somebody told you in your childhood, or something that you're holding on to, which is not allowing you to really all these boundaries that we've
Mm.
created unknowingly is not allowing you to move ahead. So
Mm.
recreating your map, being neuro clean, these are all things that I
Mm.
learned apart from all of those other beautiful things which I don't
Mm.
think everybody would understand. But how do you anchor yourself to some
Mm.
positive state to move ahead, and so many other things which
Mm.
also allows for me to use when I'm talking to my children. And they
Nice.
don't even sometimes know that I'm actually using NLP
Right.
techniques,
Yeah.
but it opens up a whole new world for them. I get more hugs and kisses, of course, because they are feeling so happy. um, and I really think that NLP is something that I wish I had got when I
Mm.
was a child, like I
Mm.
got blessed by yoga. So
Oh,
I feel that
wow.
वो थोड़ा gap
Mm.
है. I know NLP is pretty new, it's probably just
Mm.
50 years old, but I really wish कि ऐसा कुछ हो जाए जिससे I should also do something about it, that the
Mm.
world of NLP is more easily
Mm.
relatable,
Yeah.
more easily digestible, more
Yeah.
easily in the practice state for a lot more
Mm.
people,
Mm.
because that is what uh, is needed.
Nice. Nice.
So,
So well put.
and then of course, I went on with Ashlesh to do my
Mm.
personal practitioner. Then I did my
Mm.
master practitioner. Then I did my coach excellence, and I did my advanced excellence coach. And now when I do one-on-one sessions with
Mm.
people to do personal power coaching, I call it
Mm.
tap in because it
Mm.
allows you to tap in from within
Mm.
you.
Mm.
I feel blessed
Mm.
to, again, like I said, to watch the transformations,
Yeah.
to be a part of somebody else's
Yeah.
journey,
Yeah.
because I think people have suffered enough,
Yeah.
and people are suffering,
Yeah.
and there are a lot of traumatic cases that one has, situations one has gone through,
Mm.
even what may not seem to be traumatic
True.
to our eyes, but
Mm.
somebody's experience, like for
Correct.
simple thing, a girl who's shot in the class, it's traumatic for her to be the shortest in
Yeah.
class, and you may be sitting with that feeling all your life,
Mm.
not knowing how to really move
Mm.
ahead. And it's beautiful, and I
Mm.
feel very blessed to be in that space of
Right.
having learned from the best
Mm.
to take it forward with them.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you for sharing your story because uh, that's also one of the reasons why, what created this podcast, right? One was, of course, the reason why coaches, like when they have community, that it can truly be transformative, not only in their own lives, but in the lives of others. The other aspect was, NLP. I mean, personally, in my case, it was NLP that eventually led me to my Brahmastra, which is hypnosis. And, NLP is
Yeah.
sort of like the rib of NLP came from hypnosis, right? Sort of to use the biblical uh, reference here. But this is really why I also make it a point to, to reach out to people who are at a certain point on their journey, and who've seen life, and who have been able to kind of reframe it in a way that it is of value to other people. So, that's in fact the reason why, like I said, it's important that people hear your story and how their lives can change, right? And one last thing, of course, is I've also made it a point to now, make that community available. I've In fact, the link will be there. It's called the iHypnosys coaching community. So it's a Telegram group to get started, and there's a lot more. It's like if you've done NLP, it's like all the questions that you had but were afraid to ask, this is that place. Or if you're curious about NLP and hypnosis, this is that place. But that besides, I'm saying, I truly believe that there's a reason why you experienced NLP at the time in your life when you did. And I can say this with truthfulness, that I've lived it for these last 16, 17 years now. And I know that, when I hear you say it, I know there's truth in it. And I'm really glad to hear how it has, truly, in a deep way, it has impacted your life, and the lives of people in your family, and obviously your community, that
Community. Yeah.
that gets it even more. So
Yeah.
yeah, I am so glad that this happened. We did this pod, like I said. When we met first, I had no idea we'd be here. uh,
Yes.
but it's played out so beautifully, and this is just the beginning. It's like they say, picture to abhi baki hai.
Mm.
So there's, and I'm just saying this out loud. It's like a declaration into the universe that, especially when it comes to coaching, when it comes to healing, these are things that, for people like us, where we are the pioneers, especially in the context of it being in India, because people are still waking up to the idea of
Yes.
having a personal coach, having a community where you can learn with a coach. And the beautiful part is, there are more and more people coming into this. So there's there's enough for each of us to be able to connect
Yes.
with, to serve, to
Yeah.
be able to hold that space, so that that transformation happens for them. So yeah, as you can tell, I really feel this. And um, being able to spend this time like this with you is truly a blessing. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to sort of, this is the free form part. So if there's
Yes.
anything more that you'd love to share, and of course, I'm reading some of the
Uh,
comments.
okay.
So while you're just kind of like, there's somebody called Suvrata Gharge, who says,
She's a
Aparnaa
Bindaas
Ganesh,
diva.
you're very clear in communication with yourself, and hence with Bindaas divas like me. There's
Oh,
Anita
lovely.
earlier, who had said, that's true. Like-minded people in a healthy community is a blessing for life. And of course, Krishnaveni was, tracking this from quite a while, this pod, and she says, awesome, inspiring, Aparna ma'am. So these are some of the comments. Let me
Sorry.
see. Oh, that I was wondering this
Krishnaveni is
because
also.
I was looking at my tabs, and I was like,
Yeah. No, no,
initially I
no, no.
hadn't muted
It is
them.
my bad.
No, no, that's
Yeah,
totally
yeah.
fine. I mean, that's
Krishnaveni is
the
also a Bindaas diva. She's my
beautiful,
diamond member, and I
beautiful.
love to see how beautifully they are progressing.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to share, Rahul.
Mhm. I had
What
the
is
same
happening?
feedback earlier.
Okay, sorry.
I had one or two tabs that had popped up, so it's totally fine. Go ahead.
Um, um, what I want to share is, I am so, so blessed to have you in my life. Um, I don't know what one has to say. I mean, one can say friend,
Hmm.
but uh, I think it's a lot more than that. I think I find it very beautiful that we have that space where we are able to hold for
Mm.
each other, where we are able to bounce off ideas, not
Yeah.
just at a commercial or work level, not just at a professional level, but even really throwing out whatever's coming up.
Yeah.
To be able to just share it and say that
Mm.
I know so many times I've told you, I can only tell you this, Rahul.
Mm.
This is what I'm feeling, this is what happened, and da 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 da, da, and I know you're there to just kind of understand and hold space and ask those questions that will take me in another direction. And I feel really happy because at first I used to think that okay, I have a buddy,
Right.
in the NLP space. And then
Yeah.
it moved to being really deeper, closer friends.
Mm.
And then now I don't know what to call it, but it's a very close relationship, which I really, really, how do you say, hold on to, protect, or,
Right.
hold dearly to me.
Mm.
And, this podcast has been beautiful because,
Thank you.
I think it's a lot of fun talking to you
Mm.
always. And the one thing I definitely want to tell everybody listening is that yes, NLP is super powerful. And I also want everybody to know you can shoot anytime,
Mm.
anywhere as a solo video creator. You do not need to wait for your husband, your wife, your children, anybody to hold the camera
Mm.
and da 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 da. It is possible for you to shoot it just with your phone. So I feel that a lot of people are held back because of all these things. And at the most, kya hoga? You will shoot something, you will fail at it. Well, you can always learn and do it better, right? One of the
Yeah.
biggest things what NLP taught me was, and I use a lot of the NLP techniques, right, in the video coaching space as
Mm.
well. Uh, there's just so much
Mm.
that we can do that we are not allowing ourselves to do
Yeah.
because of these boundaries and beliefs that
Mm.
are deep rooted within us.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very happy to break all of those boundaries and
Nice.
kind of co-partner with my divas
Mm.
to empower them to shine.
Nice.
I love to actually, one of the biggest things about being a coach is that you get to watch people shine.
Yeah. True.
I
So
used to
true.
watch random award shows earlier,
Mm.
not even knowing ki kaun hai kya hai, but just when they have that little shine in their
Yeah.
eye when they're holding the
Yeah.
award, I'm like, "Ye maza
Yeah.
aa raha hai yaar dekh ke." So I get to see that on a daily basis with
Yeah.
all my members and anybody else also who I interact with on social media. So I think that has really been
Mm.
one of the cherry on the cake for me, Rahul.
Nice.
And of course, I get to meet all of being a coach. I think, especially coming from the film industry, the
Mm.
big shift for me happened was that I get to meet all of you and all of the other coaches who genuinely want to make a difference.
Yeah.
If you even call if I call any coach friend of mine, I know they will do their best to help me out of
Mm.
whatever situation I am in,
Mm.
because that's what you're living for. You want
Yeah.
to help somebody.
Yeah.
So I think
True.
that's incredible, and thank you for having me on this podcast to be, how do you say, be a part of your page where you've so committedly been creating content
Yeah.
regularly,
Yeah.
serving so many people with all of your thoughts. And I've heard a voice, a YouTube, what is that called? An affirmation piece you made,
Right. An
or
audio.
what
It's
is
like,
that?
so I call it the
It's a,
iHypnosis uh, trance meditation or hypnosis
yeah,
meditation. iHypnosis
yes.
hypnosis meditation. So,
I really hope you wish, add that in the link below. I would
oh,
really want
that's a great
everybody to
idea.
listen to it
It's a great idea.
because it really took me into another world.
Mm. And
And
if I
the
may
work
say
that Rahul
so,
has been doing. Yeah,
uh, I, I just have to say this because
yeah,
this is me saying thank you to you. Even in a branding context, I'm literally
yeah,
like literally live on live TV. I'm
yeah,
rebranding it the iHypnosis meditation. So I will make that adjustment in the because it's already up. The video is already
yeah,
up. So I'll make that
yeah,
adjustment
yeah.
and I will definitely add that in the show notes. So yeah, you were
Lovely.
saying so.
Congratulations on that. Yeah, I was saying that I wish all of you watching this, whether you're watching live or watching the recording of this, please ensure you go through that, because what you hear of Rahul delivering in that is not just a man sharing some affirmation or something.
Mm.
It's years of Rahul's work with his voice,
Wow.
with his energy, with his intentions, everything being put so beautifully in that one audio piece that I heard.
Wow.
It took me to another dimension. It
Wow.
really allowed me to kind of imagine another world. And I really wish and pray, Rahul, that you make many, many more like this. May you be one of India's toppest known, who makes India proud internationally as well in this space of really creating transformations. Because I know for a fact you've got everything in you to get there. And
Wow.
I'm so happy to be a part of this journey with you in some way or the other.
Many ways. I have to say this. I hadn't, obviously, none of this is rehearsed. We've just been literally, in the flow of it. And um, hearing you say it like this is kind of like, and that's why there are parallels. For years, I kept putting off doing these recordings. Just like you were saying, oh, should I put my video up? What will people think? Right? Or, oh, I don't know. Uh, like one part is I don't know enough. One part is the certificate, like literally those three things that you talked about, right? And for years, I kept putting it off. I remember more than a decade ago, I was like, oh, yeah, can be on YouTube, but this is not there, but that is not there, but no, hard drive space, whatever. There's always excuses, right? And just hearing you say it like this about what you had as an experience, unprompted, right? To
Yes.
me, it just reminds me that we all have so much to give with in the most effortless way. It just takes, you know, deciding that okay, I'm going to do it. That's it. That's all that it takes. And then uh, we will anyway travel to wherever we are meant to travel. That's destiny. That's our path. So yeah, thank you for revivifying that, for deepening that belief that I found not too long ago. So
Yes.
yeah.
And I
um,
have to mention before we end, Rahul, that that audio piece is not just me saying was fantastic. Okay,
hmm,
चलो मैं bias होगी, मेरा दोस्त है या मुझे NLP का कुछ समझ में आता है. Keep that aside. My husband, who at that point had no clue about NLP, who had not spoken much to you, I made him listen to it,
hmm,
and he had the exact same experience.
oh.
So please, anybody watching, it's not just because Rahul is a friend. It is a piece, and it is a piece worth listening to. And please overload his comment section with saying we want more, so that he does more of it, and that we can sit and say ki "Arey, maza aa gaya." Our lives
Yes.
will get elevated by his work. So all we got to do is push him and demand from him more, and we will definitely, all of us will grow together.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. I again, like I said, when we do these things, we do this with heart. We do this without the intention of getting something back. Like this for me is that um, this is more than a payoff for me. Like I didn't know this is where our conversation would go, but here we are. And in the words of, it's already done, right? Like you said it, it's already done. So thank you. And it's been an absolute it's been a fun ride, right? Fun was one of our themes for today. So
Yes.
it's been fun listening, sharing, prompting. And I know that people have got a lot more out of this, more than we had even intended. So Subrata says already waiting for it. So so yeah, I will say this, and I'm sure the audience do write in the comments, both here, of course, while it's live, and when it's up on YouTube as a podcast. Do mention that you want Aparna to come back and do a part two, because I truly believe there's a lot more to dive into and to share, to expand on, which I know will help you, each of you, in your coaching journey. So uh, it's I can't thank you enough. I mean, it's been an absolute joy.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on your show. and having this wonderful conversation with me.
Yeah. So
And
thank
thank you
you.
to everybody listening
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
We would love to hear from you in the comments. What were your top things that really resonated with you? I would love to know what
Nice.
really mattered to you or what made a difference. And I'm sure you will continue watching Rahul's weekly podcasts. It's happening around the same time on these two platforms. So follow him for that, and
Thank you.
you're bound to receive a lot more value regularly. Thanks,
Thank you.
Rahul.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And add of two things, of course. These podcasts happen on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So keep tuning in. Of course, I will, promote them uh, in, sort of like keep layering up as we go week on week, learning as we go. And yeah, if there's any way in which either of us can help you on your coaching journey, especially, just reach out either here or just message us on Facebook. I know we're also available on YouTube, Insta as well. So there are enough places to reach out. So, just reach out. That's why we're here. That's why we do what we do from heart with heart. And look forward to seeing you all. What I will do is I'm just going to pause, end each stream. So thank you all once again, and I will see you in the next episode of the iHypnosis coaching journey. So give me a second. Parag, do stay on. I'm just going to end the feeds first.